Hi, Emily. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Emily, you own Huddle Booth, correct? Yes,
Yes, I
you guys had a
do.
rebrand not that long ago,
Yep.
but that
Yes,
was a
we
very awesome one.
rebranded. Thank you. We love it.
All right, so tell us everything. What made you want to start a photo booth business?
Yeah, so we went to, my husband and I went to WPPI, about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. We have been wedding photographers for about 9 years. And I actually remember that morning having no photo booth was not on my radar at all. But when we walked past Photo Booth Supply Co., my husband was like, "Hey, we should actually just like take a picture, check it out." And by the end of that day, I was convincing him that we should probably start a photo booth business, and we were, in it together. But we really loved the idea that our photography could morph into something that could give us like not necessarily more free time, because obviously a photo booth, business is so still, you pour in so much energy and work, but it was a different just a different type of work, one that would allow us to possibly spend a little more time at home, if we could have a team that started running things. So we really liked this idea of just diversifying and not strictly only shooting weddings. So we kind of launched it as like a side business, and it ran that way for a couple years. And then our focus shifted slightly, and we started actually deciding to pour most of our energy into the photo booth company. And that's actually when we did the rebrand. We changed our name to Huddle Booth, and it really represented more of what our mission was, in bringing people together and celebrating. So once we did that and we rebranded, then our focus kind of became the photo booth, and now we've gotten to grow that and see it really take off in the ways that we were hoping for it to. And so that's kind of where we got started, more from the photography background. But I have loved just being in the photo booth world, and it's a different type of photography, but I've just eaten it up, and I just love it so
Well, you can definitely tell your
much.
enthusiasm in everything you do with your business, your, social media posts, everything, and I love the
Thanks.
branding of your new company name and just the meaning behind
Thank
it. Can you tell us
you.
a little bit more about that?
For sure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, our previous name, it was cool to us. Like it was Red Brick Photo Booth, which to anyone else means nothing. So we picked it because it was like a synonym for modern, and you kind of already had like the cool name of modern, and obviously I'm not going to take that. But we just liked the idea of, oh, who are we? We're a modern photo booth company, and so we just wanted whatever that was our old name. But it didn't mean anyone, and it didn't stick with anyone. No one could remember it. No one referred to it as the name. So we had a few brainstorming sessions of what could we do, and all these themes that we kept coming up with were celebrating and people and coming together, and just unifying people. And so we had a few fun brainstorming sessions where we threw out some terrible, terrible, terrible ideas, and that got us eventually to Huddle Booth, and it's stuck. And now it is so much fun to see how people have really latched onto the name in more ways than I even expected, because there are events someone will see us. We're in a community that's pretty tight knit, and oftentimes when we go to an event, I've heard people walk in and they'll go, Huddle Booth's here, like Huddle in the house. And it makes me so happy that people recognize it as this celebration, and they refer to it as like, oh yeah, we got to go huddle. And it's almost like a verb. And so it's been really cool to see how the name kind of pushes our actual, intention of what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Wow,
we've
that's
we've
serious
enjoyed it.
brand goals right there.
Oh, thanks.
Use a verb.
Yes.
That's amazing. All right, so here's the big question, though. What is the secret to
Okay.
your success?
Well, I wrote down some notes, so let's see.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I think that there's so many things that work in tandem together. of course. There's a lot of different, you have to hit it from different ways. But recently, I think that I've realized, especially when we kind of took it from a more of a side business into more of a full time, the main focus was just being consistent and following up. So we we realized that if we reached out, to someone one time, that might not go anywhere. But if we reached out in multiple creative ways, that actually started to show a lot more return. And so we started to get more involved with the community and just show up and be out at events. So just for one example, when we got our salsa booths, we kicked it off with the the selfie booth tour is what we called it. So yeah, we did like a bunch of free events right when we got our salsa booth, but we hit some really big local but big for local events, and we went not just to like one event, but we were out there like 3 times a weekend. And
Wow.
I started to notice as inquiries were coming in the months after that kind of marathon of going out and doing a lot of events, we started to get inquiries. And in the "where did you hear about us," a lot of times people would say, "I saw you at A, B, C, and D." And that's when I reached out, because they didn't just see us one time, they saw us 4 times.
Oh,
And they started to
wow.
realize, oh, they're probably the most, established, or everyone's using them. So I think that's who I should use. And so I think that made, yeah, an impact, rather than just do something once, stick with it. And if you have a good idea, and if even if it doesn't seem like maybe the first time was super successful, maybe the third time will be. So I think I've learned that in different aspects, but that's just one kind of tangible example of when I was like, oh, it's working, it's doing its job. Yeah.
Nice. That's a great story. Wow, I can't believe that they saw you, like, that many places and just were like, "Hey, I need to
Yeah.
hire these people." But it's
Yeah.
true
And I
brand
think
recognition, right?
it is. And I think we did a lot to, we worked hard to get to that point. We tried to build, like, that was after our rebrand, and after we, revamped our website. So I think we did try to do a lot of work to where if someone saw, we hired someone to do a cool logo. And I think that there were a lot of elements that were in place so that when someone saw us 3 times, it stuck in their mind. Whereas I think before we rebranded and did all that, if someone had seen our booth 3 times, they actually might not have known it was the same brand. They wouldn't have actually known it was even, yeah, the same company, because there was no really mark on there. There was no indication that it was from the same place. So I think
Mhm.
that helped. Yeah, and we have a kind of a unique area where it's a big city. We're in Central California. It's a big city, but at the same time, it's got a small town vibe. So I think that we kind of try to play to that vibe as well. And it might not be the exact same in every city, but it does work out well here.
Nice. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's maybe either starting out or struggling, I mean, let's put COVID aside for now. Let's just say
Yes.
struggling in the normal world, quote
Yeah.
unquote, what would that be?
Yeah. So I again, there are so many things that you're should be doing at one time, but when I whittle it down to what's the most important thing for me, it is connecting with people. And so, and also valuing them at the same time. When we work with an organization, um, we try to actually get to know them, and build a relationship that goes, we don't necessarily go out to lunch each week, but we build a relationship with them that is more than just, oh, we dropped off the booth, or we set it up, and we're, not invested farther, more than that. We try to get to know the people that we work with and build an actual relationship with them. And I think that it goes both ways. Like, it's better for our business when we actually have these relationships with the people we're working with, but it gives me more, I feel like it gives me more purpose and more kind of meaningful interactions that actually fulfill me in a way that goes beyond business. Like we'll work with, I think, let me see, I'm looking at my notes to see if yeah, I did. It's in the right category. I was wondering when I mentioned that. So just for an example, like we work with this charity in town, and um, I remember last year at one of the events, there was a misunderstanding in kind of they thought that we were bringing the price down more than we were. They thought we were kind of bundling two events, and there's a misunderstanding. Um, but instead of like, I don't know, going to battle over it and being like, you owe us this much money, like we just said, we totally understand there was a misunderstanding. I'm going to take blame for not being more clear. I care about you guys as what you are doing, and your mission is so important to me that yes, we will absolutely do that next event for free. And some people might say, look at that and be like, you can't do events for free. That's never okay. And that's fine for certain things, but I think I viewed them more as people and the people that they're serving. And so for me, that was just more fulfilling personally. And now I see them online recommending us. Like if someone, says something on Facebook asking for a photo booth recommendation, they're like the first to chime in and mention our name. And so it goes both ways. Like it's
Yep.
it's good for our business eventually. Like even if we, lost however much money on that one event, but it turns around, and I think people are more willing to turn around and recommend you when they actually know you, and they actually know that you're not just a business, you're people with a heart and compassion. And yeah, and of course, meeting, I know you've done videos about this, but connecting with wedding planners and coordinators, and those relationships are really going to get you into more spaces, and they're going to get you more referrals. And I think that just connecting with people and valuing them is the most, for me, it's one of the most important things, even beyond the photo booth world. So yeah.
You can't buy that kind of, publicity from someone when the
Yeah.
genuine recommendations, I think, go such a far way when it comes to like someone asking for a photo booth. Because when you know that it's not
Yeah.
like a review that you see on Google or something like that, like it's a
Yeah.
genuine referral, people really take that to
Mhm.
heart way, way better than a review. Not that reviews are
They
worthless.
do. Yeah. No.
But
Oh, totally. Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, I mean,
Mhm.
that's a great marketing strategy too, right? Obviously, to the whole, building your relationship. Free events, obviously, I'm a big advocate of free events if done properly. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah.
built
Yeah.
my business on that too. But what would you
Yeah.
say has been your favorite marketing strategy that you've done to date?
Yeah. So, I'd say the one I'm most proud of and felt was kind of the most creative. Unfortunately, because of COVID, I haven't gotten to see exactly the full results of how it would have panned out. Just time wise, we really started to implement this strategy that I'll discuss in kind of like starting in January, February, and then, soon after that, everything shut down. But I do think it will work eventually. So
I'm so excited.
I know. I mean, it's nothing revolutionary. You're going to be like, yeah, we all do that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, so okay. So little backstory is that we had tried to do a little bit more focusing on online, like Facebook ads and marketing, and that can work really well. I've seen great success stories. It just wasn't working well for us. And so I took some of the strategies that I learned there about um, like focusing on, or what's the word that I'm trying to think of? Like, oh, what am I trying to say? Really, targeting.
Okay.
Like when you really try to target, a certain clientele, or just like the idea of getting in front of someone, the ad shows up on this day, and then the next day, and the next day. So I tried to do some of those techniques, but in real life, and I tried to get in front of people in a way that was more personal, kind of mixing my desire to meet people actually like in person and connect. So what we started to do was we listed out like new avenues of like that we want to get into. Like we wanted to see if like getting into the schools and like proms and all that kind of stuff was a good place for us. There's businesses that are like a little more high end that have, you know, really great Christmas parties and all that. And then there were some like wedding shops that are like, you know, flower shops or rental places and all these things that we thought those would be great places to just go hand like a direct like directly hand them information about us, like get our information in their hands. And it's almost like cold calling, but then you're just cold walking up. And um, I I don't know if that's a common, you know, thing or if that's like an annoying thing, but we tried to make it not like a high pressure situation, but we made a bunch of flyers that targeted specifically the category that we were going into. So for schools, I went to all the schools, elementary school, junior high, and high school in the district in our
Wow.
area. So it's like 40 schools,
Oh my god.
and I know, and eventually, if this worked really well, you know, I might have you know, an attendant or employee do it. But I was like, this is fun. I'm going to do it myself. And so I walked in, and I had this little packet, and it had you know, customized flyer that was like really well designed and nice cardstock, and it specifically talked about schools and what they would like. And then we printed their logo of their school and did printouts to show examples of actual prints from the booth. So they had like 5 prints, and they could see like, this is our school logo, this is so cool. And then that was in a little pamphlet, and we walked in, and I walked into every school, and I just did like a quick introduction. I left them with the information, and then on the flyer there was a QR code, there was a landing page where they could go, and I try to lay out all the steps so that they could actually take action with it. But I was really excited about this project. It got great feedback. Like while I was going out, people were, for the most part, very receptive and super excited. And they would say, oh my gosh, and again, I've seen you. Yeah, you were at the flea market, or yes, I've seen you at my friend's wedding. And every time I heard someone say that, I was like, okay, it's that repetition. Like keep giving them new avenues to find out about us. And then COVID hit, and I haven't gotten to see the full, you know, what that's going to become. But I know that that alone is not going to, you know, land us everything. But I think that that is a step. And then we follow up in a different creative way. And we're going to do the same thing, or we were, but we'll pick it up again when the nation's healthy. The same thing with businesses and Christmas parties. You know, walk in, hand them a little packet. It's got their company logo. It has the QR code. It has everything. And hopefully that's just a more like direct path to connecting with someone than hoping that they find out about us somehow, you know. Yeah, it was a
Wow,
fun
that's
project. So,
unbelievable. I love it. I
but
absolutely love it. I'm gonna have to try that myself
thanks.
when the world
Yes,
opens up
please
again.
do. Yes, yes.
Wow, okay. I'm almost gonna have to have you back on the show, like, in a few months to see what
You're
comes
so
of it,
sweet.
because 'cause I'm sure
Yeah.
it's gonna just blow up for sure, like, something that well thought out and so personal, I can't imagine it not being super
Oh, thank
successful.
you. That's encouraging. We'll hope. We'll hope for it.
Okay, my last question for you. What is the one thing you wish you knew when you started out?
That's a great question, and there are a lot of things. I picked an answer that's kind of boring, but I wish that I had known, or what was the question? What someone had told me, or what I would have known, is that organization is super important. I think I just naturally am drawn towards the more creative side of things and the marketing side of things. So in the beginning, I wasn't extremely organized. And I know that that wasted so much time that could have gone towards improving our brand or improving our marketing or you name it. And it was just never that interesting or attractive to like get super organized. um, but now I've seen that since we've implemented like, just a lot more keeping things clean and organized, it's just everything benefits from it. It's not just that it feels nicer, like the whole business is smoother because you're more organized. And I feel like you're really good at organization. So I I can learn a lot from people who are well organized, but just implementing those steps, I wish I had done it sooner. And I remember like some of the earliest events, literally having to pull everything out from under my bed just to get to the thing I needed for that event.
Oh,
And
no.
then my whole room is messy. And then when I got home that night, I didn't want to put anything away. And so then my room was messy for the next 3 or 4 days. And it's like, that's no way to run a business. So, um, yeah, it's
I
a
love it.
boring answer, but I think it's for
No.
me something I need to focus on more.
It's very, very valid because it gets out of hand
Yeah.
quickly, right? Maybe at the
Yes.
beginning when you're not that busy, it's easy to like keep track
Yeah.
of things in your like Google Calendar or
Yeah.
reminders. But when you're doing like 30 events a month, I can't
Yeah.
even keep track of that. Not a chance.
For sure. For
No,
sure.
you need to be organized. No, that's a great one. I love it. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I mean, you've given us so much great information. Like,
Oh,
I'm even
thanks.
inspired to try some of these things
Yeah.
myself. Yeah, well, later, because
You're
obviously
sweet.
there's nothing going on right now,
Yes, later.
but it's good
We'll
prep
get there.
time, because I love how you
Yeah.
implemented the QR codes in the landing page,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
that's super beneficial for people to go directly to the source.
Exactly. Yes. And in this downtime, I'm trying to clean up some of those, prepare for the future of making those landing pages now, cleaning up certain things. So I know that there are still, or making the flyers now. And there's definitely still things I can be working on and be
Mhm.
ready for when things are good to go again. Yeah. Mhm.
Amazing. Well, thank you again
Yeah.
for,
Thank
being on the
you.
show and being so candid with everything. We really
You're
appreciate it. We
welcome.
can't wait to see where Huddle Booth goes in the next few
Thank
years.
you so much. Thank
Thank
you. It was so fun to chat, and it's always good to see you.
Yeah, you too.